Hello everyone and welcome to Hephaestus Challenge week number 3. This is the Anvil Division stream. I am of course Imagine, and with me once again today as my co-caster is Sir Morty. Morty, how you doing today?
Hello, everybody. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Looking forward to another set of great matches today, and well, we've got some interesting stories coming out of today's matches. Let's quickly take a look at what we got on tap for today. We've got the Art of Warfare against Sacrilege. We'll follow that up with Sky-Invading Rhinos versus Cake, and we'll finish off today with a classic matchup between the Bully Boys Blackfight Squadron and Zill's Merry Men.
That should be interesting today.
Yep. So
Very interesting.
First match, let's quickly talk about some of these. First match, we got the Art of Warfare, who so far through the first 2 weeks, haven't been able to get a single kill yet. And so they're really going to want to be, stop their over streak at least.
They've had some hard times. They've played very, very, very well, but they've just seemed to have been outpaced, really.
Yep, definitely. And of course we have Sacrilege on the other side, who last week lost in a 2-1 match, which ended with the time limit going up. And I know that they weren't very happy about that.
Yeah. Who did they play? Was it Cake they played last week, or was it
Yeah,
else?
it was Cake. They played Cake
Yeah,
last week.
I think I've seen that one. You disappear for a week and all sorts of madness happens. It's brilliant.
Yeah, no, it was definitely one of those games where nobody really felt left feeling completely satisfied. I mean, I know Cake was definitely happy that they got a winning over Sacrilege, pretty big deal. But Sacrilege not too happy about the results, and I mean they're certainly going to be coming out firing today, trying to reclaim their spot as one of the top teams in the game.
Well, yeah, I think it was a bit of a to put it nicely, it was quite of a funny thing to watch happen, watching it back on the VOD. But I could see why Sacrilege got a little annoyed. I can see why Sacrilege got a little annoyed, but it gave me a good chuckle. I mean, I don't mean to be evil, but that gave me a brilliant chuckle.
Yeah, that was quite a crazy ending to that entire match. So, second match between Sky-Invading Rhinos and Cake. Cake we've talked about already. They are, I would say so far they are the surprise of the Hephaestus Challenge, both divisions. I don't think many people expected them to be sitting at the top of the standings, and they've done quite well. They did manage to fend off Sacrilege. And even though it may have been caused by some time running out, a win's still a win. And these are things that you have to keep in mind when you're playing in these matches.
Well, that's the whole point of the timer being now, fortunately. If that timer wasn't in place, then we could argue different rules. But that's how the Hephaestus Challenge goes for the moment.
Absolutely. And Sky-Invading Rhinos, of course, definitely one of the strongest teams in the game as well. They lost against Sacrilege first week, and I think they beat the Art of Warfare last.
Yes.
Or they lost Sacrilege first week, beat the Art of Warfare last week pretty handily in that 5-0 victory.
Yes.
And so it'll be interesting to see how Cake plays this one. They're gonna have. I think they're still considered to be the underdog in this match, even though they are technically ahead of the Rhinos in standings.
Well, potentially. Let's see what tips and tricks each team can pull out this week.
Absolutely. And the last match, of course, Bully Boys versus Merry Men. And Bully Boys definitely so far underperforming. I know that they weren't very happy with their loss either. I believe that was... I'm trying to remember who that was against. Oh, that was against Holy Roman Army, right?
Yes, that was Holy Roman Army.
who is another kind of surprising team so far. We won't be seeing Holy Roman Army on this stream this week as they are playing in the cross-division match, and that will be on the other stream with Rob and Dan. Speaking of Rob and Dan, you can also watch both of these streams at once on the link I just put in chat. You can decide which one you want to be watching at any given time. But let's quickly switch over. Or sorry, let me actually finish my thought between Bully Boys and Merrymen. Merrymen also underperforming a little bit. They did manage to pull out a victory against Deadpool Army last week, but this is going to be one of those matches between two very old school teams, two of the oldest teams in the game currently. But both of them, a little bit questionable about their performance so far, and we'll see how they can fare against each other.
Yeah, both teams seen recently have favoured quite a lot of short-range slugfests, especially if we've seen in previous weeks. But I wonder if they'll finally change up their tactics a little bit, see if we do see them run the experimental Artemis Hades builds that we've seen come out in this tournament. Excuse me. I wonder if we'll see that coming out of, especially Zill's Merrymen, because I know they were very partial to the old Pyramidion at one point.
Yeah, well, we'll see who ends up coming out on top there. But of course, first match here is between the Art of Warfare and Sacrilege. We got both of the teams all up in this lobby already. And let's see what we got going on. We got Pyramidion Junker versus Galleon Pyra. So Tropo bringing out the Galleon once more on Canyon Ambush. What do you think about that?
To be honest, the Galleon is actually a very good choice for Canyon Ambush. Against maybe Metapyras, if they get ganged up on just a little bit, it could have a bit of problems. But these Hades builds, these
do you see what's on that Galleon?
Let's see. I was about to say these Hawacha builds are cut to be expected. Well, there goes the long-range side. Normally you'd field. Okay, that's kind of brilliant.
Now, I would think that they would want to put at least a carronade on one of those sides to counteract that Junker. You don't quite need double Hwacha.
I don't quite need
it. I feel like the effectiveness of two Hwachas is not like the effectiveness of a single Hwacha doesn't mean that if you have two of them, it actually doubles.
Well,
I would argue that.
I would disagree with that because a lot of Galleons I see that don't have a good supporting weapon to the Hwacha don't do very much. You'd see a Metapyramidion go up against a Galleon with, say, Carronade Hwacha, and the Carronade gets knocked out for some whichever reason. That Hwacha isn't going to do very much. It's just going to keep those guns down. It brings the match to a stalemate. Maybe that second Hwacha, if timed, if not both fired at the same time, if one fired then the other fired, you could break some armor and get, say, the last half clip's worth of damage against something, depending on what you're fighting, really.
Yeah, this is true. Well, we'll see how it ends up working out against the Art of Warfare here. We're going with the Pyro Junker build, and we'll get those loadouts in just a moment here while we are waiting for this map to load on up. And here we go. So what do we got going on the Art of Warfare side? We've got the little round table, a Pyramidion captained by Hunter. He's got a Hades light flak up front with a Banshee and flare gun on the side. And on the we've got a Junker captained by Sir Lancelittle. Clever name. He's got a lot of Artemis. He's got double Artemis on one side with another Artemis up front and a Gap Mortar on the other.
And over here on the blue team we have the Ares Pyramidion flown by Castus Curious. He has the very traditional and very tried and true Meta Pyramidion of Gatling gun and mortar front with flamethrower and flare gun side guns. But now we have the slight wild card here of the Sacrilege Destiny, the Galleon flown by Tropo, which is pretty much all Hwachas. Apart from that rear flamethrower to try and dissuade, say, someone sneaking up behind you, and then a Gatling gun mounted at the top starboard side, top port side, sorry.
Yep. So we'll see how that ends up working out. So these two teams kind of just hanging out in their own ends currently. We'll see who makes really the first move. Now, I gotta wonder if the brought those triple Artemis because they did see that galleon. They know that it's got some heavy guns, and what better to knock out a bunch of heavy guns than a bunch of Artemis?
Yeah, that's actually very true. You normally see these days the Artemis and oh God, I've forgotten the name of the gun. The fireball launcher. What's that one
Hades.
called again? The Hades.
Yes.
Sorry, I keep forgetting the Hades is the Banshee. Yeah, you normally see a Hades paired with them these days. The Triple Artemis is actually quite a traditional build from the first days of competitive junkers.
Yeah, and
So,
it was also remade popular when the Artemis was buffed for some months
indeed.
back, and it was just a lot of Artemis spam for a couple of weeks before the Artemis was changed a little bit. So yeah, and we have seen a lot of that Hades Artemis, as you have mentioned recently, but triple Artemis going on, and as I said, I do wonder if that is because of the Galleon.
Yeah, if Red Team can keep the range on the Galleon and make sure that those heavy clip Hawata rounds don't take out two or all of their all of their rocket launchers, then potentially. But I only say potentially because I don't know what could happen with those two Hawachis. I really don't, with all that disabling fire. But I do think whoever gets the shot off first is going to be a victor in that scenario.
Yeah, quite possibly, of course. Junker's very susceptible to that watch of fire, as all their
Yeah.
components are, as you can tell here, they are really close together. If you get a nice, set of shots off onto that hull, you pretty much knock out at least like 75% of the components.
Yeah, you can do. You can pretty much take everything rather than the opposite side turning engine.
Alright, so we are getting a little bit closer together as the Ares and Sacrilege Dynasty are inching just a bit forth, and we are getting some flares down and getting some spots where we're going to have some of this starting fire going on, and that flare is actually in a really good place right now for that cloud that is rolling through that, is completely illuminating that galleon, and it has already taken quite a lot of shots from both of these ships, and the Ares cannot support any of this because they're all such short range, and Sacrilege Dynasty has to slink behind his pillars. They got just hammered right off the bat.
Yeah, they got a good beating first half, and that was a very good point raised by you there. If these Artemises can get off first, then they're just going to disable everything on that galleon, as we saw. The entire side battery just disappeared and made completely useless by the Artemis fire.
Yeah, and nice flaring going on so far as well from the Art of Warfare. It looks like the Art of Warfare have definitely been practicing here. They're really forcing the issue on against this Sacrilege team currently, or at least, well, I guess they weren't quite forcing the issue as they were just sitting on their own end, but they're really getting the best of the Sacrilege team currently.
Yeah, well, they've looked at Sacrilege and they can see that Sacrilege, to do the maximum damage possible, need to get in close. And if the Art of Warfare can just hold them at arm's length, then no harm is going to befall them at all.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the story of long range versus short range. Long range, definitely you're gonna have the chance to shoot down whatever it is coming your way before they get to you. Of course, once you can get into short range, Pyro with this Gat mortar here will just absolutely obliterate you in a matter of seconds. So
Yes.
it's always this little game being played between long range and short range ships of can you shoot down the short range ship before it gets to you, and that really is what determines winners and losers in quite a lot of these matches.
Yeah, it can be. Now we're seeing Blue Team just going back to the main canyon and see if they can figure out another way around, another way to sneak past those long-range defenses. I think that might be difficult, though.
Yeah, especially with the Art of Warfare being extremely diligent so far about flaring up everything around them. That's really what allowed them to get the jump on the Galleon to start off with, and they are continuing to, well, not right now, but they continue to do so even though the Galleon had retreated. Now they're still looking over in that general direction, and here Sacrilege has moved around a little bit. We'll see if Sacrilege manages to take advantage of the rolling clouds through here that come through. I've always wanted teams to try to approach a long range kind of camping red team by going into this very side little I don't think canyon plateau type area, hiding in the clouds for a little bit, and then waiting until those roaming clouds are going through red spawn and rushing forth. That's one of those like maneuvers that you can practice and try to pull off, but you got a really good timing. Little round
Yeah.
table under fire here. Just some shots exchanged, nothing really hitting each other currently though.
Yeah, not very much. I'm wondering whether or not Blue Team are going to decide to split up at this point. Keep the Galleon as like a nice, big, tasty, juicy target, and let the Iridium creep in underneath those roving clouds. It would make a lot of sense if they can pull it off.
Yep, absolutely. And right now, blue team quite safe as they are behind several layers of clouds and behind several layers of rocks. So even though there's a lot of firing going on, it's kind of at nothing. I mean, it's heading in that like ship's general direction, but there's just way too much stuff in between these ships to actually be able to hit anything.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if somebody could go through a mesa. To be honest,
Yeah,
I think that would be
I
a
think
new
it's
powerful
even
gun.
yeah, it's way out of range at this point. Maybe if you had a lumberjack or a heavy flak, you could shoot this far away. But even the Hades is you're gonna have a tough time hitting from
Yeah, you're gonna have a tough time hitting with a Hades.
All right, so
Maybe a Mercury.
blue team deciding. All right, we're having none of this. Backing up, getting out of here. Let them come at us for a change. And they will basically sit back to where you often see blue teams sit right at the lip of their spawn, right at the kind of intersection of these two different, approach paths, and yeah, we'll be settled in here for a little while. Now, one thing I can say is with Sacrilege's last game, they lost 2-1. They I believe we're up 1-0 at one point, and then took 2 kills, and then they had to scramble because that second kill came with like 2 minutes left in the match or
Yeah.
something of that sort, and that's essentially what lost them the game. Now you can't say that Cake would have lost completely, but that time limit really has to start coming into especially Sacrilege's gameplay and head like, okay, we lost because of that once. Do we really want to play so passive again, so that we run the risk of another match like that happening?
Well, that is the point. Do you want to run the risk? I think at this point, no one's willing to take that risk. They're all just sort of hanging out, waiting for the other guy to come up. If they can just get the one kill and let the timer tick out, then that's as valid an excuse as a strategy, sorry, as charging forward and trying to get all 5 as fast as they can, really.
Yeah, but maybe you charge forth and get 2 kills and then try to run back. Do something like
Maybe.
that. I gotta wonder that because of the events of last week, that Sacrilege might end up being a little bit, more cautious about the time limit and a little bit more aggressive in their play. Of course, that's not what's happening right now, but we'll see.
Well, and we will see. We will see. I mean, it was a bit of a blow for them to have that last match, but there's nothing much that can be done about it. It was a fair victory, just probably not a very tasteful one.
Yeah, Cake played it well. They
Yeah,
definitely knew what was going on. They knew timers and knew everything, and yeah, it's not just a matter when you get into these leagues of knowing how to play, of knowing who's the who's got the best tactics or whatever. It's also knowing the rules. It's also knowing how to play
true.
through taking advantage of the rule set that you're given. It's definitely a part of matches.
Yeah, yeah, that's very, 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 very true. Anticipating time is very much a tried and tested strategy. We've seen it with plenty of other game modes. I mean, how many times have you seen a whole team on a capture point just flee a point they've already got because there's only 30 seconds left, and they think, well, it's not really going to count for much if we stay here. Our next strategy is go, get on with it, get moving. And Cake did the same thing. They thought, well, we're going to have a tough time battling this out, so we best get on and get moving and protect our lead as best we can.
Yep. All right, so it looks like the Art of Warfare is moving forward here along the far side. And I don't think the Sacrilege Dynasty really has a beat through these clouds. Yeah, I don't think they can see through this. I don't think either of these ships are in a position where they can spot those ships unless, a flare were to go out in the cloud that is right to the side of theirs. So Art of
Yeah.
Warfare is going to get all the way around and might just be able to ambush these two ships that are basically sitting out in the wide open if they can get around. This is quite a good approach here by the Order of Warfare. Now, a spot does go down, and I don't actually like this spot. This tells the red team, or blue team, assuming that they did see that they get spotted, that is definitely something you have to assume, that that the other team is now in a position where they can spot them. And if they were still back in their own end, that, of course, that kind of spot wouldn't go down at all. So you can eliminate a lot of different angles here from where you could get spotted, and that can reveal kind of where you're poaching from. So oftentimes I find that spots that isn't going to result in maybe immediate fire might not be quite the best if you're trying to sneak up on somebody.
No, it's not the best when you're sneaking up for somebody. It is really useful for the person doing the spotting. It can sometimes, truth be told, it can sometimes work to the advantage of the person spotted, because as we're seeing blue team moving up now to try and hunt out and ferret out the red team, and if they can catch one of those ships in between them, then maybe they could get this ambush to work correctly. But at the minute they've no idea the blue team is actually heading their way.
Yep.
Or trying to find them anyway.
Yeah, so my point here was, if you are flying like that and you get your crew, just tell your crew that don't spot them, but let me know where they are, but don't actually throw down the spot. As you can see now, Sacrilege Dynasty and Ares coming over to the corner here. You definitely smell some sort of shenanigans going on, but they will have to decide whether the red team moved down further south or went up north. That is something that they'll have to decide. And it looks like they are thinking that the red team kind of backed up to their own end. Of course, that is the exact opposite from the truth. And, well, here we go. So welcome to Canyon Ambush, guys, where oftentimes the two teams will just end up kind of circling around each other for the first, half the game or so.
Wow. It just seems to be playing Ring Around the Rosies at the moment. I think the thing that's stopped this from being such a slugfest is just the general nature of the map, and a lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it. I think if any modifications would have had to have been made, maybe cloud cover is a little bit too persistent, but really, what does that matter? As soon as they get to each other, I think there's going to be some furious scrambling for a fight soon, once they figure out that the time is starting to run lower and lower and lower.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially being, well, almost in each other's spawns now. And you will see this often at the start of games as well, where the two teams kind of avoid each other going on the other side of the maps. Not on purpose, of course, but they will have that happen. And then they go into each other's spawn like they are right now, and they're like, oh, well, no one's here. I guess we go back out to the middle, and then they kind of meet in like completely middle C3 square and have a grand old time trying to shoot each other down. Of course, that would be a little bit of a disadvantage here for the Art of Warfare team, as they definitely don't want to get into a close-range battle. The Hem does have that gap mortar side, so they do have the ability to fight a little bit closer. But Little Round Table is going to have it a bit tougher, as they do need more of that range for that Hades and that light flak to get armed and actually hit with the full amount of damage.
Yeah, that's very true. I tend to get asked a couple times myself when you instruct new players, why is it that the two maps that you would think for close quarters fighting, this and maybe Peryton Rumble, that both have a lot of cloud cover, why is it that one you tend to circle each other for ages and the other one that you don't? I mean, you do, as we're seeing here, teams do just seem to go round and round and round each other until they eventually get those definitive spots off. But on maps like Peryton Rumble, it's straight into a slugfest. Now, I don't know whether you'd agree with this, but I think it actually might be something to do with the elevation at which you play. This is a map that you can play at a very low level. You can skim right across the ground on these wide open spaces. And it actually lends quite a lot more cover to the players. A lot more stealthy play can be achieved.
Yeah, it definitely gets a little bit hairy and Peryton to go in between the buildings, so a lot of teams will just get right up, if nothing else, to try to spot each other. Now we are getting some more
Oh, we
flares
got some
thrown
flares
down
off.
here, and that will. We'll see if that comes into play at all. Those clouds are, of course, moving through here, so those flares aren't going to be very useful for long. Now, Little Round Table is spotted. Is spotted. Sacrilege Dynasty should be spotted also, so these teams kind of do know where each other are. One more just quick note about Periton versus this team. This map, Periton is also, I think, a smaller map in general. So that makes it a lot easier. Little Round Table has gotten basically all of his guns knocked out by that double Watcher Fire, and that is some very extremely good Watcher Fire there from the Sacrilege Dynasty. It is not easy to hit with that accuracy from that long of a range.
No, that's very, very, very well done.
Yeah, Little Round Table. There we go. There's a huge barrage of misses there, as they do still have spots going on from both sides. Actually, nobody losing spot. It did lose his. Sacrilege Dynasty keeping that spot on Little Round Table and vice versa. However, and, you know, a little fire being exchanged here and there. I don't quite see much of that Hades hitting anything. I don't see any hit markers going on there at all. And now with this new cloud rolling through, both teams are going to lose these spots. But Little Round Table and have actually kind of backed themselves into a corner here. And, and don't have a whole lot of places to go. They don't have a whole lot of escape routes. So it's going to be down to a fight right now.
Yeah, it seems Caster's curious, and the Ares are trying to sneak around the back, see if they can find like an exposed flank at the rear, while the Sacrilege Dynasty is just waiting out in the open to see, maybe be that target, that focus of attention.
Yep. So Art of Warfare not waiting around for that sort of shenanigan to happen, and are going to start moving back, and we'll see if the Ares comes around. The two Sacrilege ships are kind of far apart, and thankfully the Ares is holding up around the corner here. It's not just going to charge in blindly, which is probably a good idea. Now, we'll say that they are fighting in blue spawn, so it could really devolve, you know, if kills start happening into either way. You know, it can either lend itself to this constant, 2v1 situation to where red team is just getting kill after kill, but it can also really benefit blue team by able to, even if they lose a ship, they respawn right back in that fight and, mop up the other two ships for a 2-1 lead, for example.
Yeah, get that little spawn advantage. But whether or not we'll see that, I think before we see that, I think we'll see the Art of Warfare cotton on to that idea and probably push towards the center canyons again.
Possibly. Now, if they did want to move forward, now would more or less be the time, as the two Sacrilege ships are stuck behind this rock, and they are just kind of hanging out for now. They are flying up pretty high, however. Usually, to get a lot of cover here, often teams will be just right at the lip of this plateau, but the two Sacrilege teams definitely being up a little bit higher, definitely trying to see what they can see, and I think at this point it's known where they're at. There is some flares that were going on.
Yeah, it seems there's a couple of flares going on. For some reason, I don't know whether you've noticed this, Imagine, but the cloud cover on this side of the map seems to be a lot more persistent than it usually is. Normally you see at least a couple of breaks, but I've not seen any.
Well, you did have a large... There's like two sets of clouds, I think, that rolls through both spawns. And they kind of come after one another. So right now is about as clear as it'll get here on red spawn, as that second one has disappeared. The thing is, oftentimes you don't quite notice that much is going on down here, as you're oftentimes not this much backed up into blue zone.
No, it's very, very rare you see a match like this where red team has gone all the way into the back of blue spawn and just decided to stay there.
Forward here on Little Round Table, and whom are spotted. Ares is kind of out by itself, not able to lend a hand here, so we'll see what these two red ships can do against the Galleon, as Ares is just kind of bouncing around here and seeing what they can do. They are spotted, so any sort of ambush tactic is going to be a little bit harder to pull off, as they do know where Ares is headed, but Ares is heading straight for them, and this can work out very well for Sacrilege if the two red ships don't turn and maybe face where the Ares is, and there you go. Little Round Table already trying to shoot up in that channel direction.
Yeah, it seems that the Gallon had to withdraw because of the weight of fire that was hammering against it, which lost that bait. When you lose the worm on the hook, who else are they going to go for? But the other target they can actually see.
Yep, and another nice set of flares there, illuminating Ares. And, if nothing else, Art of Warfare has been doing a dang good job of getting those flares out and spotting where the ships are. Sacrilege Dynasty having a little bit of trouble here as they knocked into the stone, but of course, no further harm will come from that.
Yeah, no, it's not very much. The Galleon's a pretty tough ship, so you don't really have to worry about that.
Absolutely. All right, so here we go. We got an open firing lane between these two sides here. Sacrilege Dynasty against Little Round Table. Sacrilege Dynasty, so much Watcha missing. I think basically both of those bursts of Watcha fire completely flying wide, and they've got to back up behind some clouds, though looks like they're not going behind it, and they... Oh, that is just out of light flak range, actually. Just out of light flak range, and now the Ares is the one who's getting targeted, but... missing on most of that so far.
Yeah, the Ares just trying to get above those high arc guns. It just doesn't seem to be working. So he's just trying to get back behind this Mesa again. Oh, he's just not going very well. It's just not going very well for Sacrilege at all. They can't seem to see an opening in that firepower to get in and do some damage.
Yep. Now they do definitely think that they have the advantage because of the way that spawns are set up currently, and with these flares going down on both sides, we can see basically all the ships. I think even though isn't currently spotted, they do know where they are. Now Ares is coming in. They got a beat on the Little Round Table, and here comes the Sacrilege charge as we are getting into some heavy action. The Little Round Table getting absolutely hammered here by those Watchas and mortars coming in, but a little bit too early. However, another set of Watcha going down. A Little Round Table is just getting absolutely massacred here as him loses his balloon. Ares following up with some more Gat mortar and straight into Little Round Table. Fantastic job by Sacrilege here, charging on in, getting in range, and I think the Art of Warfare just happened to wear out its welcome in this side of the map a little bit too much.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, that's, again, the upside of that dual Hawacha. It just will shut down any attempt at retaliation against a charging enemy. That works out better than I think could ever have been expected for Sacrilege. Very little damage to either of the ships, and a 2-point lead.
Yep, so very good job there by Sacrilege. I did see a lot of misses coming from the Art of Warfare side, which can't help any. I mean, yeah. Ares was just kind of flying in, by its lonesome, trying to make something happen, and so many misses came from the red side from both of those ships, which allowed the Ares to get into range, and that kind of led the Sacrilege Dynasty right behind it. And once again, I think the Art of Warfare kind of just backed themselves into a corner that they didn't need to be in.
Yeah, that was a kind of unfortunate, but well. No, I think it's kind of hard to get those shots off when you're trying to hard maneuver in a junker, though.
Yeah, no, it's not an easy thing to shoot from a junker or
especially when you're
trying
to evade
ships.
A very aggressive pyro.
Yeah, but I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more movement from the Art of Warfare. Honestly, I would have liked to see them hit a little bit more, but that's an entirely other issue. All right, so now the Art of Warfare has got to push a little because time is definitely going to be running down here. I think that was about a 22-minute engagement, which led to 6 more minutes being added on to the time being played here. But they've got to get at least 2 kills in the next 10 or so minutes for this match to continue, or at least get a tie. And Sacrilege gonna start playing this ring around the rosy game, hiding themselves into the clouds here and just waiting for another warfare approach. And I almost feel like we can go back to where that spot came down on the Sacrilege Dynasty when the Art of Warfare had moved behind them. And that kind of gave away their position, and from there it just led into Art of Warfare being stuck. You can kind of say the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, they did get stuck over the wrong side, but they did do a very, very good job to, how can I put it, to hold off Sacrilege at arm's length. I would have thought that charge would have come 10, 15 minutes earlier than it actually did. I thought it'd have just gone straight for them, but no, they were too wary about that concentrated animus fire.
Yep, and now it's really going to be on the Art of Warfare to chase these two ships down. And the problem is that because of their long-range builds, or definitely longer-range builds, it's going to be harder for them to do so. And because they want to chase them down yet keep their distance, it's going to be tough for them to really get into a really favorable position unless Sacrilege kind of makes some wrong turns.
Indeed, indeed. It seems that the Art of Warfare are just going to push their way around the side of the map, see if they could just find them, because Sacrilege seems to be doing a very good job of probably not avoiding them, but just pottering around, just keeping to the safer zones, making sure that they've always got a bolt hole to hide down.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it feels like they're just getting into an area where they know they can have the upper hand with that closer range setup into a little bit better defensible position, which definitely around these rocks is a certainty. And it's also possible that they might have thought that Art of Warfare would have just been content to sit in their end for a little while as well. So maybe that was their reasoning behind going this far forward. Now it's Art of Warfare once again kind of down in their own end, or down in the other end, but they are moving forth here. I would like to see them maybe do this with a little bit more urgency, but of course they do not want to get ahead of themselves and be caught off guard and be caught in a 2v1 situation. So they're going to take it nice and easy. They're going to come right around the side here, but this is leading them straight to where they want to be. That's straight into the side of Sacrilege, but they're splitting up here.
I think they're splitting up because they got pretty much no other options at this point. If they carry and stay together, they're not going to scout as much of the map as they need to. And if at this point the Junker can get the aggro and manage to pull, say, just pull blue team apart, separate those two ships, they might be able to focus down.
Oh no, he's actually getting straight into the arcs of these two blue ships. Oh, this is going to end up very poorly here for them, as the Ares is falling right behind, and watch a fire coming in and knocking out a bunch of that stuff. Ares going to come charging forth, rising up, and just gets completely obliterated there.
No. Oh no!
Never split the party, guys. You never want to split the party. Now, Little Round Table might try to make something happen here, but with a lot of that Hades starting to miss now, so the Ares is ducking behind this cover. Sacrilege Dynasty still in range, but he's going to hide as well. And that was just an absolutely catastrophic happening there for the Art of Warfare.
I think that was more bad luck than anything. I don't really think splitting the team did so much. It was a very smart idea to find them, but probably not the smartest idea to engage them. But they didn't know. They didn't know until they were right there. They came at you like raptors out of the jungle. Yeah,
I do think they may have been better served off going kind of around the rock where the Ares is right now, past here, instead of trying to split the middle. But of course, they had no idea where the Ares actually was, and so they have to make a decision, and it ended up being kind of the wrong one. And now Sacrilege Dynasty and Ares just smelling blood in the water, as they are just going to charge right on forth here. Ares coming out, leaping out from the depths, charging right into the Little Round Table. And Little Round Table hurting quite badly here as that mortar fire coming in. Will they be able to get taken down? A nice ram there by Ares, shoving that ship back a little bit more, keeping them right in that gun range. And just Sacrilege destroying here.
That's just unfortunate. That's very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, and definitely Sacrilege finding their groove, finding that charging ability. Now, Sacrilege Dynasty is actually getting hurt a lot by the Artemis here. Having that Artemis spam just absolutely smack it in the back, so doing a good job there, but not quite fast enough, as now the Ares is going to spin right around, and this is the last kill that they need, so unless can do some magic here, it's going to be a little bit tough. They are getting some of those front guns knocked out of the Ares, and that is what they're going to have to do to stay alive.
Yeah, they're going to have to disable that Ares and run for the hills at this point, or at least just trying to hold out until reinforcements can come down.
Yeah, Ares did get their front two guns knocked out, so good job by him there. Now gonna maybe flip around to that gap mortar side.
Maybe, but we've got the
Anticipating.
Sacrilege Destiny coming flying back in now, probably with both her watches ready to go.
And where's the other red ship?
I don't
It
know.
hasn't
I can't
respawned
see
yet.
it.
Why hasn't it respawned yet?
I've not a clue. Is this a white flag, perhaps, or is this just simply a bad network connection? We have
I've
no idea at this time.
I have no idea. Okay, there we go. Hunter has left, so I mean, no pause has been asked for, and without that, Sacrilege Dynasty and him are gonna continue firing at each other, and they should have asked for a pause there if Hunter wasn't going to be coming in, but it looks like the Art of Warfare ship just surrendered. That pyramid actually just straight up surrendered.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely. That is
that.
throwing the hat in a little bit early there, guys. You still had a chance there. Well, I mean,
Well, that was-
okay.
Well, that was quite the upset. They couldn't seem to catch anywhere near a break at that point, but I don't think it was the best idea to throw your hat in so soon. You could have got back to do something. I know that the junker there hung on very
Okay. It looks
well.
like actually time ran out right at the end there. All right, so that may have been it. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense now. Otherwise, that was quite a bizarre, almost rage quit like
It
event
did
going
come
there.
across slightly that way, but it seems we were a little misinformed.
But okay, yeah, I just didn't see chat. I was too focused on the action that was happening. Regardless, I think Sacrilege will take this map then, or this game then 4-0. And unfortunately, the Art of Warfare's 0-4 streak continues, and they still have not been able to put off a kill in these first 3 weeks, and that's got to start being a little bit demoralizing.
Maybe a little bit, but I'm looking forward to seeing if we can get a rally from them. If they come back next week with a good 5-0, I think that's going to send their spirits soaring all the way back up again.
Absolutely, or just get even a a significant amount of kills, 3-4 in a match, and you're going to start feeling better about yourself. So, with that, we do have Sacrilege getting their second win of the season, and Art of Warfare will fall to 0-3. Our next match is going to start in about 10 minutes. So let me put that in here. It'll start at 5:05 p.m. And that is, of course, going to be the Skymating Rhinos versus Cake. So do join us for that. We're going to take a little bit of a break here. Now, once again, you can, of course, watch the dual stream here. And I think the match on the other stream should be going already. So definitely do check that out. Of course, I am Imagine. With me today, once again, is Sir Morty. And we will be back with you for Skymating Rhinos versus Cake. We'll be back and talking about that match in about 5 minutes or so, with the match itself starting about 10. So do come back, and until then, enjoy some music.